doggy now. We in your city, we be what now?
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name's Aaliyah. Nice to meet you. Make sure you subscribe and hit that bell so that we can stay in touch. But today I'm going to be showing y'all my little catfish tutorial because I'm a proud catfish. I know how to do my makeup to my liking. I've been playing around with makeup since middle school. Obviously haven't been good at it since middle school, but you know, it's fun, it's an art. I love using my face as a canvas. So today I decided to show y'all how I transform into a baddie. Before we get into the makeup tutorial, I do want to thank Just for Kira for partnering with me on today's video. Just for Kira is a professional contact lenses brand, and their goal is to provide high quality, good looking products. Some examples of the variety of the lenses that they have available are natural looking lenses, small pupil lenses, enlarged lenses, as well as 1 day compared to 1 year. Today I decided to wear the Asa Green contact lenses. I absolutely love this color on me. I find that it complements my skin tone. So if you love playing around with color contact lenses or you want to give it a shot, make sure you go to justforkira.com and use code 20ALIYAH for 20% off. So I do go for a more full coverage look. If y'all can see, I do have some dark spots on my face and I just prefer to cover them up, okay? So when it comes to my everyday look, I do use both drugstore and high-end products. So I'm gonna show y'all how I blend it all together and it still looks popping, okay? So first I'm gonna use this dual eyebrow brush that has the little pointy end and the spoolie on the other side. And I go into that with my L'Oreal Brow Stylist Frame and Set Deep Brunette Pomade. I've had this for a long time, okay? It's definitely expired, but it still does the trick, okay? I haven't had any breakouts around my eyebrows, so I'm gonna just use it till she's done, because oops. Ever since I started playing around with makeup, eyebrows have always been my favorite part. I do not joke around with my brows. If they're not perfect, I'm gonna erase that and try again. So that's why I start with that step first in case I do mess up and it irritates me. So let me get all close and personal. I'm gonna start off by outlining the bottom of my brow. I actually like my brow shape, so I can just follow it exactly how it is. And I do bring it to the front, but I just try not to make it as dark. So like this. And then for the top, I do the exact same thing, but I avoid the front. And now I'm gonna just make sure that the end of my brow is completely filled in, and then I'm gonna leave the front like this. The outline of my brows is never giving twins, is often rarely giving related, but you really just gotta trust the process. It's really a trust the process type of tutorial. You really just gotta watch it till the end to really understand how a girl looks, how she looks, okay? So don't judge the process. But next step for the brows is I'm gonna pinch my brush just to make sure that it's as thin as possible, and I'm gonna dip it back into my pomade. And then I'm gonna make some little fake hair strokes on to the front of my brow just to give it that natural look a little bit more, and then just brush it out, okay. And the front is gonna look a little dark. That's normal. I'm gonna clean it up with concealer after. And when I'm using my spoolie to brush it out, I like to push into my skin because it like wipes some of the product off, which lets the front of my brows be lighter. They're looking pretty good. Like if it looks cleanable, like I'm not gonna have to drench my face in concealer to fix him, then I'm fine with it. But other than that, I'm gonna just erase it and start all over. So the next step in my routine is to prime my face. I use the Milk Hydro Grip primer. Love it so far. I've been using it for about a month now and no complaints. The way I find it works best for me is if I do my brows first. I don't prime over my brow hairs, but just so that it doesn't sit on my face for a while, because it does take me a while to do this, and I want the primer to still be tacky by the time I like put concealer and foundation on, you know? So I put a generous amount, and I gotta be very careful on my forehead so that I don't get it in my brows. My little masterpiece that I just started, you know what I'm saying? So now my face is tacky, just how we like it. Now I'm gonna go in with this brush. I don't really know what brand it is. I think I accidentally took it from my boyfriend's aunt because I was doing their makeup and it just ended up in my bag instead of hers. Sorry about that, but I use it to carve out the bottom of my brows. The concealer that I'm loving right now is the Too Faced Born This Way Full Coverage Concealer, and I use it in the shade Warm Sand. I had it in a different color before this one, but it was just way too light for me. I still made it work because she is not cheap. It's not no $5 concealer. So to carve out my brows, I put about this much on the brush just at the tip so that it can have good control, and I'm just gonna carve out the bottom. And now that the bottom is carved out, I'm gonna just add some more concealer and bring it all the way down so that my eyelid can be one even color. And if y'all are following this tutorial tutorial or something, just make sure that you base it on your own face shape. Like, don't try to copy other people's stuff because everyone has a different face structure. And if y'all can see, my nose doesn't really have a bridge. Like, it's really flat here. So when it comes to my concealer, I like to bring it down to the side of my nose. But the amount of times that I've tried to like follow tutorials and like really try to follow this girl's specific concealer routine, this girl's specific nose contouring routine, and it just doesn't work because my face isn't like theirs, you know? I also like to build up my concealer. I don't like putting too much on my face at once because of how full coverage this product is to begin with. I just find that I get more control by doing it that way. Before moving on to outlining the top, I take a little bit more concealer and I go in the middle of my nose here. I just like to pretend that I have a ruler and see if they're lined up correctly, and then bring it up just a little bit. So next, we're almost done with the brows. I know, like, this takes me like 15 minutes. I'm gonna go in with this flat Morphe brush, and this is the brush that I'm going to use to outline the top. So with this brush, I take the corner and I try to grab some concealer just on the edge of my brush. And then I'm gonna go in with my brow. And then I just blend out the top. So now that both my eyebrows are completely outlined, I'm gonna take this same brush and blend in the front. Very gentle with it. As y'all can see, it makes the line less harsh and it makes my brows look way more natural. And then using the same brush again, I'm just going to blend out the middle of my brows and like really take my time with blending because it can literally make or break my brow. And we're finally done with the brows, all right? So next with the same brush, okay? I have brushes, don't get me wrong, but I'm just so used to using it for specific things. With the same concealer, I'm going to cover up all of my dark spots. I've tried letting it sit, but for this step specifically, I have to blend it like pretty quickly. It's not my exact skin tone, so it does look funny, but it is gonna get covered up by foundation afterwards, so it's all good. Oh, I have a pimple right here and it's starting to hurt. One of my New Year's resolutions was to not pop my pimples because that's exactly what gives me these little dark spots. So we're just not gonna touch it and we're gonna let her thrive and do what she has to do, and then she'll disappear when she wants to. Next thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna use this Dirty Beauty blender with the Maybelline Fit Me foundation in the shade 340, and I put a generous amount of this foundation, but there are some spots where I try to be more gentle, so I try to avoid underneath my eyes because I'm gonna put concealer there and I don't want it to get all caked up, and my upper lip. I put some on my upper lip, but I try to be gentle and I try not to be excessive like I am on my cheeks and stuff because I struggle with my smile lines creasing whenever I put makeup on. So just not having a lot of product there to begin with really helps my situation. The way I've been using this foundation since the beginning of me playing with makeup, because this is like a really affordable foundation. You can get it at Walmart, any drugstore, and it's so good. Like, you can build it up and everything. It's like definitely a medium coverage, but it covers everything, you know? But when it comes to like trying to save money and everything, I always go to my girl Maybelline Fit Me and bring the foundation all the way down to my neck and even up to my ear a little bit. Alrighty, look at the even skin tone, period. So next thing I'm gonna go in, she is running very low to the point that when I use it on my face, it literally scrapes it, but it is the Morphe foundation stick in the shade 17. She's really low, but I like to just outline here. Like, you can literally see the lines, but it's okay. Put a decent amount on my forehead because she is on the longer side than the typical cheekbones, jawline. But something extra that I do, I like my chin to pop out a little bit, so I do a little triangle. That was so uneven because I'm looking at the camera, but I also contour under my lip like this because it just makes it pop out a little bit more. And then for my nose, I like to take this blending brush. I got it from like this kit at Walmart. It's so old, and I just dip it in here a little bit. Try to make it as even as possible. To bring it up, I don't like to swipe it because of the concealer that's already there. I just like to tap it like this. And then to blend out my contour, I use this flat end Morphe brush. It's for foundation, but I just like to pinch it a little bit, and then I dab my contour upwards on my face. We just keep dabbing the face till it blends out, pretty much. Next step, after all of my contour is blended out, I go in with the Rare Beauty liquid blush, and it is in the shade Love. I freaking love this product. Oh my goodness. It is so freaking pigmented though, so I don't even start it off on my face. I just put it here on my hand. Literally just 2 swipes like this is more than enough, trust me. Then I use this thick rounded Morphe brush, just the end of it like this, and I dab on it a little bit, and then I go into my cheek. And I like to start off small because she is not playing with this product. Like, when I say it's pigmented, it's pigmented. And then with whatever's left on my brush, I just bring it onto my nose slightly. And y'all can see the little blush peeking out, okay? So now we're gonna go back in with the concealer again. And then after that, I just drag it to like the middle of my eye. I put a lot of concealer on, I'm aware, but I love full coverage and a bright under eye as well. So I just put it here to lift up my face, right here. A little dot in the middle of where I did that triangle for my chin. And then just a little bit here. But now I'm gonna let this sit for a couple seconds. And while that is doing so, I'm going to go in with this Morphe brush and I'm going to dab a tiny bit of concealer on there and put it in the middle of my nose. Then I'm gonna bring it up here in the middle. Before I get into blending this out, I like to prepare my setting powder and have it ready to be slapped on my face because I just like to avoid it creasing, you know? So for my setting powder, oh my goodness, I use the Huda Beauty setting powder, obsessed with her, and I use it in the shade Blondie. And for setting my face, I use a completely different beauty blender. It is still damp. I've tried using it not damp, but I find it doesn't pick up the powder as much. So I'm gonna dip my powder in there, and I don't want it to be thick like this, so I dab off the excess. Because when it's too thick on my face, that's when the little white cast comes out and the dry patches. Now that I have this beauty blender ready, I'm gonna go in with this one and start blending out my concealer. I do underneath my eyes last because that's where I'm gonna want to slap the powder on. And when blending it out, I try to just tap in that specific area where I put the concealer rather than like dragging it and having it move around. So now that most of it is blended out, I'm gonna go under my eye and then hit that with some powder. So I look up and then hit it with some powder. Now I'm just gonna carve out my contour and just dab it in. I carve out my nose last, so I'm just gonna go in and then I connect this to this. So I just dab. Here's where it gets a little bit ratchet. I'm gonna go in with this Morphe palette. It is the eyeshadow palette, Second Nature 3502. And it just has all of these browns, orange, reds, neutrals. So I'm gonna go in with this Morphe contour brush and go in with a dark brown eyeshadow. And that's what I use for contour. If you don't got a bronzer, this works just fine, okay? Make sure you tap it off if it's a very pigmented eyeshadow because you can just build it up. But this honestly works just fine. Like, you can literally use eyeshadow anywhere on your face. Who's gonna come up to me and be like, that's not bronzer, that's eyeshadow on your cheekbone? Nobody. How are you gonna tell? If I didn't tell you, you wouldn't have known. And then for my nose, I use this Morphe brush. It's like a fluffy blending brush, but I just squeeze it if I have to. And I go in with that same brown and go over anywhere where I put that stick contour or foundation stick. I just use whatever product, honestly, and it ends up working and looking fine. I try not to go ham on my nose though because the eyeshadow is very pigmented and it can look funny once I take the bacon off with this fluffy Morphe brush. And I'm just going to remove all of the setting powder. So now with the same palette and this big fluffy brush, she's old, don't mind her, she's still thriving. I'm gonna go into this red shade. It's like a burgundy, and that's my blush. And then with what's left over on the brush, I move it on top of my nose. And y'all are probably waiting for me to do something about these eyelids. Don't you worry. We're gonna go in with this concealer again and tap a little dot right on each eyelid. And I'm gonna use my same technique to avoid creases. I'm gonna have it ready to go so that when I blend it out, I can just right on there. And then with the same brush I use on my face, I'm just going to wipe away the bake. So that is my completed base before adding the extra stuff. Like, I use this palette for everything. So using this fluffy Morphe brush, I'm going to go into this color right here. It's like a light brownish with like orange undertone. And I use that as my base for my eyelid. I put it all over my eyelid. And then with the same brush that I use for contouring my nose, I'm gonna go into that same brown that I used to contour and literally really just contour my eyelid just to add some dimension to it as well, so that it's not just like all one color. And next step is highlight, my favorite part. I freaking love highlight, especially a gold one. I'm gonna go in with this little gold brush. I definitely got it in like this random ass little set from Walmart. And I'm gonna go with this tiny Morphe palette. It is the Social Butterfly 15S palette. And I'm gonna go in with this gold shade that I've clearly used a lot. So first I'm just gonna go under my eyebrow. And now I'm gonna bring it down my nose. I'm gonna blend it out with my fingers so that it's not too much. And then we're gonna put a little bit in the inner part of my eye. Dang, I don't know why I'm going so harsh with it today. And then with this little brush, like, come on now. Definitely from the dollar store and like one of those little miniature travel brush kits. I'm just gonna tap it into my cheek. And if I find that I need more color to my face, I just go back in with a little bit more eyeshadow. My lips are makeup free now, so I'm going with my Aquaphor, and I love it. And I find that with regular lip balm, I have to reapply it very often. But for this, like maybe 2-3 times a day. But now that my lips are moisturized, I don't really do much with my lips. I don't really like putting on lipstick. So I just go in with this Maybelline New York Color Sensational Shaping Lip Liner in the shade 120 Rich Chocolate. I find it comes out more as like a burgundy reddish than a brown on me. And then blend it together. I find that just gives me like a natural lip color. So that's pretty much all I do with my lips. Sometimes I do go in with the Rare Beauty. My makeup routine is very simple, so we're literally already on the last step, girl. I'm going in with my girl Joanne's lash line. I don't know if she's gonna be releasing them. Like, I don't really know what's going on, so I'm not gonna expose the packaging yet because she hasn't like posted it or nothing. But just know the lashes are bomb, and whenever she does release them, I'm gonna hype the frick out of them because I've been wearing them for literally like, it's probably going on to a year. The other day I wore like this thicker wispy cat eye set, but I think today I'm gonna go with my other pair. It's longer and I love how it fits my eye shape, but to put on my lashes I don't use my fingers because my nails get in the way. So these are my tools for putting on lashes, and this is my go-to lash glue, the Duo white glue, which, you know, becomes clear once it dries. Oh yeah, oh yeah, yeah. So there you have it, my catfish makeup routine. Here is the finished look. Honestly, adding contacts to my look just makes me literally 10 times more confident. Like, I just feel like I look so good. And Aaliyah with green eyes is just hitting so different. Like, I'm obsessed, literally obsessed. Just makes it seem like I did so much extra, but I really just put these things in my eyes. I'm feeling myself hella right now. But I do just want to thank y'all so much for watching. If you made it this far, make sure you like this video. It'll help me out a lot. And once again, don't forget to subscribe. And if y'all are loving these contacts as much as I am, don't forget to use code 20aaliyah at checkout. Link down below. I appreciate you so much. Mwah.